Aaron, I have a question from Wendy West. Wendy West has a lot of questions, but...
Will you marry me?
Wendy West wants to know, what's the evolution of Jesse Pinkman's name? Because in the early script of the pilot, he is named Marion Dupree. Huh? That sounds like a Joan Crawford role in the 40s. Marion Dupree. Was Marion Dupree a name that you've ever heard? Or?
Well, Dupree was.
Dupree
I don't remember the Marion part. Maybe it was.
It was Jesse Dupree, right?
I think it was Jesse Dupree. I don't remember the Marion part. But it was, it was, and there's a, I love Steely Dan. There's a Steely Dan song called Cousin Dupree. Yeah. And so I thought, and then there was and then the Last Nail in the Coffin, there was an Owen Wilson movie coming out about the same time called Me and...
Marley?
No, not the...
Oh, Me and Dupree. Me, You, and Dupree.
Yeah. So figured it was time to change it. Is that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to answer that question because I just kind of, it was just on the page, you know. Like, oh, they changed the name. Sweet. Pinkman. Let's do this.
Pinkman.
Pinkman. No, but I love it. You guys, I mean, you know, Mr. White, you got Jesse Pinkman. Isn't there another?
He looks like a Pinkman.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think we should call Aaron Marion from now on.
Now,
who's John Wayne's real name?
Yeah. For Anna, we never saw a breakup scene between Skyler and Beneke. Was one ever written that didn't make it into a cut, or?
No, there wasn't. I think Skyler figured out that she was dealing with. I think Ted revealed himself to be somebody that Skyler did not expect him to be, and also. Honestly, though these two have been through, obviously, what they've been, you know, the difficulty and the sort of strife that they've been through, it's my belief that Skyler deeply loves Walt still, and that the sort of the affair with Ted was kind of an acting out.
It was her way of showing love for me.
Was showing deep love. That's the way she shows love.
How she shows love for us.
Holding the salad bowl and telling you that
Yes.
But no, there wasn't. I think she knew that she had detoured and she righted herself, and yeah.
Now, Chris Sproat, Esquire is his name, at Sprotocaster, says he's currently writing... He's currently writing a thesis on representations of Latin Americans in Breaking Bad, and he would like any observations on the matter.
Wow. Any observations?
Writing a thesis on it.
Wow, and I appreciate that. What can I say that would be worthy of inclusion in a thesis paper? Well, I don't know.
Latin Americans, you obviously cast.
Yeah, and I hope that is not to be inferred that the thinking being that they are, Albuquerque, New Mexico is only 220 miles from the Mexican border. And there's a major corridor of guns and drugs that travels up and down Interstate 25, and it just seemed natural to include the idea of Mexican cartels as bad guys on the show. So it just seemed a natural progression. If we had set the show in Southern California, as we originally, as intended in the original pilot draft, Riverside, California, it might have been biker gangs or whatnot. It seemed to fit the locale, the idea of Mexican cartels and whatnot. And I love the only thing I think to say of it is I love scenes in shows in which people speak other languages other than English. I feel subversive to be able to put those kind of scenes on American television. That wonderful scene in episode 8 last season when Giancarlo's character has the scene down in Mexico speaking with having the meeting with Don Eladio, played by the wonderful Stephen Bauer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He was
Wonderful,
so great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
and Robert Martinez and Javier Grajeda, and of course Mark Margolis. It was funny. Only 3 guys in that scene actually spoke Spanish of the 5 guys in the scene. But you can't even tell I can't tell who spoke what, because they did a great job phonetically speaking. But I love, well, he did a great job.
That's what an actor wants to hear.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Phonetically.
No, it was.
Phonetically speaking.
No, I mean, speaking phonetic, anyway. Whatever. What's my point? I'm rambling. But I love it. Feels subversive in a good way, being able to have, the English is only one small part of I don't know. A lot of people speak English, but a lot of other languages in the world, so it's fun to be able to mix it up. And
it was a great day for all of us. Mark Margolis and I had worked together years ago, and we had both worked with Stephen Bauer in a play called Bomb in Gilead. And it was a week after Lanford Wilson had passed away, so we were sort of celebrating him, and that we were all brought together. And so Stephen grew up a part of the time in Puerto Rico. And Mark is Margolis, but spoke very little Spanish, and I, of course, speak a very little Spanish, but I wanted him to be sort of Chilean. So we were all speaking in the same vein, but oddly enough, a little bit of a different language. But it all came together in a beautiful way. I know for me that episode was really difficult because it was the first time going back in time for Gus that I was really vulnerable and cowed by Stephen. And I remembered, I worked with Stephen in this play in '84, and I remembered how much I loved him, but more than anything, I remembered how much I hated him. Because he's so imposing and so big and so commanding, but it put me right in the space I needed to be at for young Gus. But it was just so hard to be in that place.
Interesting.
But kudos for you to write that in a complete other language, and you don't even have to read the subtitles and you know what's going on.
And to be fair, thank you. And to be fair, of course, we are lucky to be able, my writers and I, to be able to write it in English, and we have wonderful translators who translate it into Spanish. It was fun too in that scene having 2 guys who were both in the movie Scarface, the '83 Scarface, Mark Margolis and Stephen Bauer. That was fun. Al Pacino next up.
Got shot, yeah.
And just for reference, you got my partner, Steven Calzada, who plays obviously Latino, but he's a good character.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
hopefully we are representative of all.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I hope Sprout's satisfied with that.
That's a great name. By the way.
Sprout. I got a couple more questions before we wrap up that we have here. And one, I just want to quickly ask each of you, what character trait is most like you as a person, of the character you're playing here? What character trait is most like you? Let me start with you, Vince. What character do you most relate to here?
Walter White. Yeah? I mean, probably, yeah. I mean, Walter. There are parts, including the female characters, there are parts I would imagine that I relate to. I think you have to relate to the people you're writing about as you write them to understand and to delve into their humanity and understand where they're coming from. You have to, male, female, doesn't matter. You have to have some connection with them when you're writing them. But probably, Walter White is a character who, gosh, so many ways to approach explaining this. I'm not sure I'm going to do a good job, but he wears a mask. Walter White does. He's a guy who the world sees as one way, and in truth, he's other things other than what he appears to be. He's less nice than he appears to be, and it's funny. It's fun to hear it, but people always say, "How do you come up with all this crazy stuff, being so nice and pleasant and polite?" And I'm not. I'm pretending to be nice. So it's I don't know, but there are parts of all these characters. I love them all, and they're but I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, Bryan. Well, he took Walter White, so maybe the character trait of Vince Gilligan that you most. I don't know. What is it about Walter that you most relate to?
Probably his poor fashion sense. A selection of underwear. Without my daughter and my wife, I wouldn't know what to wear. I really wouldn't. And I clear the room, obviously. I can do that. No, it's interesting to hear you say that because you're talking about someone that I'm not relating to. And that's because you're looking at it from that kind of outside looking in kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
looking at it from inside
Yeah,
out. And I'm going, mask, what? Why? That he knows he's someone else? And to me, it's I don't see any of that. And perhaps I'm not supposed to.
Well, no. And by the way, we've had such interesting conversations, you and I. I remember early on, you'd explain how you saw the character, and then I remember foolishly a couple times I would kind of politely argue with you. No, I think it's this, and then I was like, what in the hell? We're going to by necessity, you and I are going to look at this character in a different way, and I'm going to think more. I'm going to hopefully be thinking more globally. But you have to, all of you actors have to, I would imagine, never having acted, but I got to think you have to look at it from the inside out. You have to. So yes, by just naturally, by necessity, we have to look at these characters differently, and that's to the good. But yeah, you're right. We will always see them in some sense differently. Yeah.
Anna?
I think that obviously Skyler has this external strength to her that is what she shows to the outside world, but that inside, that there's a lot of vulnerability to her. I think there's fear, there's a lot of emotion that goes on inside of her, but she has the ability to put on a strong face in spite of it. And that has been something that I've been through in recent years, and something I can really relate to. It's funny, Dean was saying that, there are times when the person you're playing starts to sink into you and vice versa, and there were times when it almost felt like the things she was going through, I was going through. So I can relate to her very, very much. And I can relate to the pragmatic, practical side of her that says, I got to get on with it. I got to take care of my family. I've got to put one foot in front of the other, even when you might feel like you're crumbling inside. So, yeah.
Now, Aaron, Jesse, you relate to Jesse totally, right?
I have no idea.
Is there one trait?
The drugs, really. I do a lot of drugs. No, I don't at all. I have such a soft spot for this guy. I mean, I truly, he's so opposite from who I am. But I don't know. He's such an emotional wreck at times. And
Oh yeah, that's not you at all.
I know. I was just gonna say. I feel that way sometimes. All of us do. But I think he has a soft spot for kids. He just sees the innocence in them. And I have so many nieces and nephews, and I just love children so much. So maybe that. I don't know. But say no to drugs. Just.
All right, Betsy.
Was Giancarlo's
Perfect.
Good timing.
Thank
you so much.
The trait that you ID with Gus.
The small bladder, I think, is the one.
Hey, baby, you got to do what you got to do. I knew I shouldn't have followed Vince's cue to have that big, huge vodka. What I love about character and this particular show is that nothing's black and white. And when nothing is black or white, it resembles life. We all have our good sides, we all have our dark sides, we all have things that irritate us in the mirror of other people that resemble who we are, and that's why we get irritated. So for me, what I really related to with Gustavo Fring was the fact that he cares. And that's what got me through, to relate to his caring nature about wanting to educate and bring people to their best selves. That's what I saw. He invested his time, his energy into cultivating education for his chemists. He really, oh, come on, baby. What? I believe, he cares. to enough about Walter White to say, look, yeah, you'll get $3 million, but he resents the fact that Walter comes to him and says, I'm told that we're a lot alike. You wish you were like me. So this is what I related to with Gus, that he really did want to teach. He did really want to, in his heart, do good. I mean, look, the business is the business. It could be chicken.
Oh, boy. Those are rose-colored glasses you're wearing.
It's the way you go about, handling that business. That's
Very
really
interesting to
important.
hear you say this. I just want to say this one. He is so unlike this character. As you get a sense of him, he is a charming, sensitive, embracing. When he says hello to you, he looks at you and he really means it. And he practices yoga and meditation, and it's like, wow! But when he works, it's like a shark keeping its eyes open. There's a glaze that goes over, and his eyes just go dead. And oh my God. It helps you so much. But I was very curious to hear you try to get away with that.
I try.
That's great. All right, Betsy. I bet I know the trait that you most identify.
If you guys could all not mention the spoon thing. I love playing the difficult parts of Marie, and I love that, Vince, you were so protective of her early on, and I love how you love all of these characters, and the beautiful things about them and the flaws. But someone called Marie a bitch one day and said, oh, Marie's such a, and you said, she is not. She's not a bitch. And I was like, yeah, that's right. I got right behind Vince. I said, yeah, she's not. She's not.
No, that's Skyler.
Yeah. We hear that a lot.
I heard that.
Yeah.
That's what people say. I never said that.
Naughty, naughty.
But it's true, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
But anyway, I love playing the difficult parts about her because early on, I'm like, you have to have a difficult person in the family or it's just not a real family. There has to be at least one that is like the gossiper and I am so happy to play that. But what I really love about her is, and this is what I share with her, is I would do anything for my family. And my husband, too. And this season was so wonderful. But I feel like we saw that in the beginning, with her. And now we just, I feel that way about all of them, is that all the people that we are now, they were in season 1. It's just now we get to see more of it, And just this relationship has just been so beautiful. And I just, I love working with Dean. It's just been a pleasure to play that storyline. I mean that. I do. I love you.
And Dean, right back at you here.
Yeah.
What's the...
I don't like working with Betsy at all. That's my challenge. Think about Hank. It's interesting because it's his struggle to be a good guy. And I think that's a universal thing. I think it's in so many of these other characters, in so many shows, there's these extreme guys. There's bad guys and there's extreme, and he's just trying to hold on to normal. He's just trying to hold on to a normal life, and he's kind of tossed in between. And it's the struggle just to be, and it's a struggle because it's not easy to be, and he's not always successful at it. But it's just a core kind of, inner thing that he just wants to try to have a good soul. And I think that's hard to do. And I think and it's not really flashy, but it's a, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Friday Night Lights for that reason. I think that show has a lot of that in it, And I that's what I like about him. And I love my hot wife.
And by the way, Friday Night Lights, Kyle Chandler is thanking you for not being eligible for an Emmy last year. That is a good show, Friday Night Lights.
It's a great
show. Yeah. RJ.
Walt Jr.'s disability. I've grown up with it since I was diagnosed at 3 with cerebral palsy, and I was actually, I had crutches when I was a kid. And they still use the table saw. That is not old-fashioned. They still like to use that. And if you hide a ketchup packet in there, kids are a little surprised. I grew up with it. I can tell you how many hours I've worked out of OT, PT, speech, therapy, everything to get over the disability, and I still work with it every day, actually. And it's not a it's actually a very painful disability because your muscles are constantly tight and twitching, and always it's like a Charlie horse in your whole body 24/7. And it's awesome that I actually get to portray that on TV, and it's been interesting to see how Walt Jr. has grown up over these past years, and in every season, If you notice, he actually gets down to one cane carrying his father, which was really a breakthrough for that, and that's where I relate most to him, because I've been there. I've been. I was probably in casting most of my life until I was like 14 years old. Like, I've been in the wheelchairs, I've been on the crutches, I've done all that, and I'm back to that. But no, it was an eye-opening experience to get to see what I've overcome.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I think I speak for the audience when I say we are so happy you're about to all go back and get to work together again. And we cannot wait for season 5 to begin a Breaking Bad. Thank you all for coming out here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Night.
Great job, man. This was fun.
Wow.